person who's tuned in over the internet, and that you would continue to use Bible Baptist Church and our services in that way. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you. You may be seated. And good to see you all here in the Lord's house on this Wednesday evening. Just a few announcements about some upcoming events and some things taking place. First of all, I want to mention to you that this coming Saturday is Super Soul Winning Saturday. We're going to go out into the community and try to invite some people to Vacation Bible School. And Vacation Bible School is right around the corner, so a few things about that. The Vacation Bible School invitations are located at the information table in the lobby. We encourage you to stop by, pick those up, pass them out through your neighborhood, and pass them along to parents and grandparents who might have children who would attend and be blessed by that. Vacation Bible School will be June 16th through 20th from 5:30 until 7 p.m. And this year we are running the teen program. And so that means that children ages, I think we take them from 4, so K4, all the way up through seniors in high school, that there's a place for all of them. And so we invite them to come. Memorial Day Sunday is this coming Sunday, May 25th. There will be no evening service, but fourth Sunday is typically our Building and Grounds Committee meeting. So we're going to ask that the Building and Grounds Committee members would just stay after the morning service, and we'll give you go over some updates there. For that, just a quick meeting. And then Family Fun Night is Saturday, May 31st at 6 p.m. You can see Brother Jordan for details. There's a sign-up sheet for that in the lobby, and it's filling up. So be sure to get on the list, and that'll be a good thing. For Vacation Bible School as well, there is a worker survey that'll be placed in your bulletin this coming Sunday. If you maybe took that home this past week and didn't fill it out yet, and go ahead and get that filled out and drop it in the offering boxes as soon as possible so that we can get to work on the worker schedule. For that, we need to know how many people intend to participate, and that'll go a long way to helping us make sure that we have everything covered, and that we don't have children running wild and lose them in the streets, and all the things that could happen. Havoc could ensue if we don't have enough. So, but also though, one thing that's coming up as well, and we'll give you some more details about this, once we have the workers surveys completed and we complete a schedule for that, there will be a workers training meeting on the night of Father's Day. So we'll have our Father's Day service on Sunday morning. No evening service, but in lieu of the evening service, we'll have the workers training, and that'll be the week of Vacation Bible School anyway. So we just want to make sure that there's some training in advance, especially when it comes to dealing with children regarding responses to spiritual things, and especially their response to the invitation for salvation. We always want to make sure that people are confident about how they handle that, because we want to be careful that we don't coerce children into making false spiritual decisions that lead to confusion at later points in life. And so there's some pointers that we give to you there in sharing the gospel. But so that's coming up. And then the next education ministry meeting will be Sunday, June 1st after the evening service. And that evening service, by the way, is when we'll be welcoming the interns. So we've got one coming in this Saturday, and then their internship officially begins on the 28th. So they'll be in this service next week, and we'll introduce them to you. And then also there's a sign-up sheet in the lobby if you'd like to help with providing meals for them next week. And then that following Sunday, June 1st, our evening service is going to be in the social hall, and we'll have some appetizer type food. If you'll bring it, we'll have it. And so bring some food. We'll enjoy it together, a time of fellowship and a brief devotional type message as we take some time to get to know those guys, and look forward to a wonderful summer of ministry together with them. I don't think there are any Kids Clubs Awards tonight. There are Kids Clubs Awards. Elena's going to come and present those. Amy's a little under the weather, and she managed to catch the bug that was going around the children's ministry. So we'll turn that over to her. And then afterwards, Brother Jordan will come and lead us in our final song before dismissal.
All right, Tony has completed his entire sheet for the whole year. So he said tons of passages and verses, but tonight he's going to do the books of the Old Testament and the books of the New Testament for us.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, Job, Psalms and Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, Daniel, Ezekiel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, 1st and 2nd Timothy, Titus, Philemon, Hebrews, James, 1st, 2nd Peter, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, John, Jude, Revelation.
Very nice. Good job, Tony.
And now next week you need to say it backwards. All right, we'll work on that. Just kidding. A couple more things. Don't forget about the baby bottle boomerang. It's there on the back table there in the lobby. And if you did already grab some of those, make sure you fill them. What's the deadline for that? Father's Day. All right, so fill up before Father's Day. Maybe not the day of Father's Day, but before would be good. But if you have grabbed those, make sure you fill them up and bring them back before Father's Day. And then there are a box still of the Mother's Day gifts. If you didn't receive one yet, if you're a mother but you like one, there's a box there in the back row. Or if you have a mother, maybe that you want to give one to, you can do that as well. But there's still a few left back there, so feel free to grab one for yourself or your mother if you haven't grabbed one yet. And that is it. We'll sing one more song, A New Name in Glory. Let's stand together as we sing, I was once a sinner, but I came pardon to receive from my Lord. I was once a sinner, but I came pardon to receive from my Lord. This was freely given, and I found that he always kept his word. There's a new name written down in glory, and it's mine, oh yes, it's mine. And the white-robed angels sing the story, a sinner has come home, for there's a new name written down in glory, and it's mine, oh yes, it's mine. With my sins forgiven, I am bound for heaven, never more to roam. In the book 'tis written, saved by grace, oh, the joy that came to my soul. Now I am forgiven, and I know by the blood I am made whole. There's a new name written down in glory, and it's mine, oh yes, it's mine. And the white-robed angels sing the story, a sinner has come home, for there's a new name written down in glory, and it's mine, oh yes, it's mine. With my sins forgiven, I am bound for heaven, never more to roam. Amen. You may be seated or dismissed for your connection class.
All right, well, good evening to everybody. How we doing? All right. All right, so this is the last time you have to put up with me for a while. All right, I'm not sure what Pastor has planned next Wednesday night with the interns, but I'm sure that'll be fun. And then we start into our Thriving Thursdays during the summer. So my job tonight is to finish up a series that I started a very long time ago, it seems now, on things that Jesus said that make me think. So we're going to do that tonight. I read a post on Facebook on the Teachers Union page, and I thought it was very good. Do you guys know how many days are in a month? A lot. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was good. That's a high school answer if I've ever heard one. I just put you in good company. How many days are in a month? I was hoping somebody was going to give me that. Apparently, we have amended, whatever the word is, the very end of that, to say, except for the last month of school, which has 1,642. I don't know if I think it's one of the ways we know somebody who is a teacher. If it's one thing a teacher can always tell you is how many days until. We start school, how many days until fall break? Go from there, well, how many days is it until Thanksgiving? How many days is it till Christmas break? How many days is it till winter break? How many days is it till spring break? Right now we're going, how many days left? Matter of fact, you don't even put the whatever after it anymore. You just look at somebody who's a teacher and you go, how many days? And Mandy asked me that tonight. Our principal asked us in a staff meeting yesterday. We had a staff meeting after school, and me being me yelled out 2. Because my favorite joke when somebody asks me how long something is or how much or how far, whatever, my answer is always 2, and it's always, in this case, too many. There are too many days of school left. We actually have, I think, like 7 or something like that. I don't know. It all runs together anymore. But I would tell you that right now I am in deep anticipation for a week from Tuesday to get here. Tomorrow's graduation, so we're not doing anything at school except sitting and watching whatever kids show up, hopefully not, in the auditorium. Friday we'll sit and twiddle our thumbs. Monday is a school holiday because what's Monday? Memorial Day. I always get Memorial Day and Labor Day backwards in my head, so I was going to make sure I didn't mess it up. Then next week is exam week. And then we have Monday with kids, and then Tuesday is teacher work day, and we finish up the year. And I can tell you right now that I am looking forward to it. Is there something right now that you say you are looking forward to? Something that's upcoming? Okay, well, let's not get spiritual on me, okay? I mean, let's be a little bit carnal for a moment, a little bit earthly minded. What's something that you're looking forward to? I appreciate the sentiment, though. We'll get there. You're always jumping the gun on me, aren't you? Just like last week. Is there something coming up that you're looking forward to? You got grandkids coming. Forget the daughter. Grandkids are coming, right? Oh, you okay? And when are they coming in? In about 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to hear a ding dong and go, surprise. Okay, great. All right. Anybody else? Something else you're looking forward to that's coming up soon? July 4th. That's a great day. I've already seen all the cool patriotic stuff at Walmart. Don't ask me why, but apparently if you got to be patriotic, it has to be a cowboy hat. That's what I noticed from looking at Walmart this year. Anybody else? Yes, love. That's my wife. Yes, but the week when we go on a trip, it's a working trip. I get to go hang with a bunch of geometry nerds. I'm very excited. So yes, I think we all have stuff we're looking forward to. Yes, would you agree? And if you look with me at the book of Revelation, chapter 22, the book of Revelation, chapter 22, I want to take a look at 3 verses and tell you what's been going through my mind in the last week or two, if that's okay. I figured if we were going to finish up this, we might as well finish it with the last book of the Bible, the last chapter of the Bible, should we not? Look with me at Revelation chapter 22, looking in verse 7. It says, "Behold, I come quickly. Blessed is he that keepeth the sayings of the prophecy of this book." Chapter 22, verse 12. "And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be." Going down to verse 20, "He which testifieth these things saith, Surely I come quickly." Amen. Even so come, Lord Jesus. We started this series back in Genesis. We finish it here in Revelation. And the last words that Jesus speaks to somebody here on earth 1900 years ago is, "Behold, I come quickly." Now, I don't know about you. What's your definition of quickly? Right now? Hurry? Fast? ASAP. There you go. I got thinking about this in terms of a couple of different things. I got thinking about it first off in terms of space-time continuum and God. And yes, of course, I throw out space-time continuum. All my fellow science fiction nerds are going, that's something out of Star Trek or Star Wars. Sure it is. Mostly out of Star Trek. And we sit here and think, does God exist outside of our concept of time? There is a really deep metaphysical question there, is it not? Does God exist outside of time? Did God create time? As a matter of fact, he did go all the way back to the 7 days of creation. You know, the evening and the morning were the first. And he did that before there was even a sun and a moon to help us keep track of the two. You know, we have seasons that were created. So what was time like before God created the earth? You know, you ask this question, you're supposed to know the answer to it. How long has God existed? God has always existed, correct? That is outside our concept of understanding time. Would you guys agree with that? So for us, again, I go back to Star Trek references because of what it is. We have linear understanding of time. That's from Star Trek Deep Space Nine with the wormhole aliens. Somebody who knows Star Trek knows what I'm talking about. We have a very linear concept of time, yes? Time only goes in one direction for us. It goes forward, regardless of all the science fiction movies that are out there that tell you can go backwards, okay? I don't care. If you've got a DeLorean that can go 88 miles an hour, you are not going back in time. Just not going to happen. I don't care if you do have a flux capacitor. Not going to happen. But God exists outside of time. So when I sit here and think about, "Behold, I come quickly," if we're sitting right now with the clock is ticking, we're at 1900 years, give or take. Right? Ish. Can I put ish? And that takes care of all the extra, right? Wish we could do that in mathematics. I divided it. It's 197-ish. So I should be close. But what is that in the scope of an eternity to God? But then we also get the concept of what does quickly mean in other senses? Does it necessarily mean quickly means like in a rush, or could it simply mean, "Behold, I come unexpectedly"? Is Christ going to come unexpectedly? We know not the hour he comes. The Bible tells us that. The Bible tells us that it's going to be expected. 2 are going to be in a field. One's going to be taken, the other's going to be left. We've got all kinds of things that tell us that it's going to shock. A lot of people are going to be shocked when Christ comes back. And I think if he came back in our lifetime, I think even some of us are going to be shocked. I got thinking about it in terms of John. When's the last time John talked to Jesus before the book of Revelation? Before Jesus is said one-on-one, we would kind of say at the cross when he said, "Behold thy mother, mother behind thy son." But realistically, in those couple of days afterwards, before Jesus went up the final time, You might could say, I don't know, was John at Pentecost? I don't know the answer to that question. I'm sure I mean, maybe somebody knows that off the top of their head. You know what? I didn't go look it up. But would we all agree that it's been 60 plus years since we've had a record of Jesus talking to John? Would you agree with me in that? Book of Revelation, this one's just fun because I like to tell this, it's funny. In all my years in teaching high school Bible class at the Christian school, I always used to tell my kid that the book of Revelation was written in the year AD 95. Yes? So I'd ask it a question on the test. In what year was the book of Revelation written? Invariably, I always had 3 or 4 kids write down the number 8095. Not 80, A-D. Anno Domini. Sorry, I don't go with BCE. Can you imagine what it would have been like for John to be able to talk to God after 60 plus years of not speaking with him? Doing the job that God had him to do. And by the way, and over the course of these 60 years, what happened to the other 10 or 11 disciples? The 10 plus the one that got added in. What happened to the other ones? All the rest of them got martyred. From what we understand, John's the only one that died of old age. According to what I read, history tells us, probably died a couple years after the writing of Revelation in Ephesus, after he got released from Patmos, where he was in exile at the time. You can imagine what it must have been like for him for those years. And for everything that John is writing down, everything that God allows John to see, Jesus tells him, "Behold, I come quickly." Now you can imagine how that was to John. Do you think John was ready for Christ to return right then, after a 65, 60-year absence? Sure. What about the first century believers? What's happening by the time we get to the end of the first century? If I'm correct, maybe my wife can help me with this. What were the 10 periods of persecution? When did they start? Didn't they start with, was it Nero was the first one? And wasn't that around, I know I'm wrong on this, 65, 50, somewhere in that area, AD? I wish I remembered. Well, of course you can, because we've got Google, and Google knows everything. Or we can check with Meta AI. Meta AI could probably write a sermon that I could do better than me. I mean, why not? I could probably give you these notes a lot better than me. You're taking long. Tell Google to hurry. I'm waiting quickly. Okay, well, you're taking too long. 64. I was off by a year. Look at that. Pat, toot. Okay, well, I'm pretty impressed I remembered it. All right, so AD 64, the church is under persecution. I don't know about you. I don't think those Christians liked being used as nightlights to line the road. I don't think they liked being used as lion fodder or practice for gladiators. I don't really think they probably liked that. I'm pretty sure that the first century church was hoping, "Behold, I come quickly." And we've been waiting an awful long time, yes? And as a result, what does the world do? Matter of fact, Peter said it. I believe, I can't remember if it was 1 Peter or 2 Peter, but Peter talks about those who scoff at the fact that we believe that Christ says that he's going to return. And let's be honest, over time, have some Christians given them reason to scoff? Sure. There is I don't know if I should use the word denomination or cult, that was really big on talking about in the mid-1800s about the fact that Christ was coming back in the 1840s or something like that. I think that was around the time. Anybody remember what I'm talking about? Gave 3 different dates. None of them have occurred. But yet that particular denomination still points back to that time and where we're at now as far as being in the last times. It's really interesting their take on the end times because of that event that never happened. I have to laugh. Are there still people today, recently, who have tried to predict when Jesus is going to come? And every time somebody makes a prediction and it doesn't happen, what do? We give people a reason to scoff, don't we? We give people a reason to laugh and just not believe. And if we're not careful, I think what happens to us, because, I mean, let's be honest. Behold, I come quickly, and we're 1900 years. And I don't know about you, but do you have a short memory? I think humanity as a whole has a short memory, do we not? So I want you to think about this for a moment, and feel free to add what you would like to the discussion, because it helps me. Why are we not really too excited about Christ coming? As a matter of fact, when I taught Bible class, I can still tell you that this goes back now, this has to go back 32 years. All right, at least. And I had a student, I can still tell you the kid's name. Girl's name was Natasha. My wife might remember who I'm talking about because it was 30-some years ago. So that means that this young lady would now be probably close to 50 years old. World. And she asked me the question as I was doing Revelation. She says, is it wrong to not want Jesus to come back right now? That's an interesting question, isn't it? So that stuck with me all these years. Because I do think that in many cases, we have that idea of, even so, come Lord Jesus, just don't do it now. There's a skit my wife and I have done. Was it Henry and Dolores? Is that the two names? I don't know. We used to do this. It's an old group of skits. They made us do these sometimes. And it was one of those ones that, Henry and Doris, okay. And it's, I'm ready to go, just I don't want to be on the next load. You know what I'm saying? It's the same kind of concept. And I remember asking this young lady, well, why? And I think the answer to that question really can have numerous answers. Why are some reasons that people would be looking for the return of Christ but really don't want it to happen soon? Give me your thoughts before I give you mine. I'll eventually tell you what this young lady answered me, but.
A young couple planning their wedding, they probably want the Lord to wait until after they've gotten married.
You know what? That exactly was this young lady's. And she goes, I want to get married one day. I want to have kids. Is it wrong to want to have a family? I mean, how do you answer that? Is it wrong to want to have a family? No. Would it be wrong to want to have a family so much more than wanting Christ to return? That I would have to say yes. I mean, let's be honest. If you're a young person, young people are going to go, but it's not fair. I'm 56. I got to live a good chunk of my life, yes? There are people who are more mature than me. If you're closer to that end, then you're good. You've had a life. You know what I'm saying? You've got to do all the cool stuff. Hey, I've got to go to Disney World. I mean, what else is there? Yes? I mean, I've done some cool stuff. I've owned a motorcycle. That is cool stuff. But how do you answer that question to a 16-year-old teenager about all the things in life that they have yet to be able to do? It was an interesting answer. So I do think that there are, in many cases, not that it's bad to say that there are still things I want to accomplish yet in my life. I don't think that that's bad in and of itself, provided that it doesn't take place before our desire to see Christ come back. Somebody have another thought? Not necessarily specific. Let's just say we've exhausted this, but there's something else I want to do in my life. I want to get this job. Whatever. Let's leave that one to the side. Mandy, what do you got?
Well, I actually was having a conversation with someone today, and one person said, Jesus needs to come back. I can't take much more of this. And the other person's response was, no, he doesn't. I'm not ready to be left behind yet.
I'm not ready to be left behind yet. That was actually the discussion from today. All right. I actually have that on my list as number 2, and that is being unprepared. And I think that being unprepared, can be twofold. I think when we look at what it says in verse 7, it says, "Behold, I come quickly. Blessed is he that keepeth the sayings of the prophecy of this book." In other words, no matter what anybody tries to tell you, there's only one way to get to heaven. There are not multiple paths. And there are some people who just, why don't people want Jesus? Why don't people want Jesus? Accountability, because I'm going to have to give up my sinful life. If you accept Jesus, it's going to cause a change in your life. And there are people who are just not ready to give up what they got going on, yes. So yes, I would totally agree with you that there are people who are unprepared. And I think that there are even some Christians who are unprepared. If I may, the one that came to my mind when I was reading and thinking about this, do you guys remember the narrative about the rich man and Lazarus? The rich man's building barns, the rich man's gathering crops. He puts them away, he tears down, he builds new barns, and he tells himself, to himself, he says, I've laid up good things, now it's time to take my rest and have some ease. And then he dies. And he ends up there talking to Abraham, and all his money meant nothing. Lazarus, on the other hand, who had a life of hardship, ends up in the bosom of Abraham. And it's interesting because of all his money, what was the only thing he was concerned about at that point? Yeah, can you send Lazarus back to go tell others? That's pretty wild right there if you think about it. Yes, love. I like what you're saying. Can I change it a little bit to the way I wrote it down? Because, it's the way I wrote it down. Okay? Because I think I got your idea. So yes, let's take away the part from the person who says I'm unsaved. Let's go to the Christian. I think what happens is we become very comfortable in our life. We become comfortable with our day-to-day. When I got up this morning, the 12th time, you can ask me later about that. I had to take a sleep study down to the doctor. That should answer a lot of your questions. And I got up, I got dressed, did what I needed to do, went out and took way too many, medications because I take too many medications. Got in the car, drove on down to South Stewart, dropped stuff off, was headed back to school. My wife yelling at me because I didn't take the whole day off. But, if I took the whole day off, I wouldn't have been able to stop by Chick-fil-A for breakfast on the way back to school. Went to school. I went about my day. And I can tell you that not one time this morning, just after working off of not a lot of sleep and everything else, not one time did my mind go today, I wonder if Jesus is going to come up through those clouds today. I wonder if I might see him on my drive down. That is not really what came to my mind. As a matter of fact, ask yourself this question privately. How many times in the last 7 days, the last week, cannot count church, have you thought, I wonder if Jesus is coming today? Would you think that, maybe as you get older, that number increases? As you're younger, it's not really something I think that in many cases, it's not that I don't believe that I believe it. Does that make sense? But we get this idea that this is the way the world works. This is the job we have. This is the routine that I'm going to keep Monday through Sunday. I'm going to keep doing it. And really what happens is it kind of almost gets put on the back burner in our mind. because we're very comfortable in this world and in what we do. 1900 years is not quick. So what's another couple hundred?
Something on the other side of that, though, depends on the culture in which we're living. We have an easy life without comparison.
Absolutely.
I think of the people in Iran and in places where they are suffering as Christians because of their beliefs.
Sure.
And I know my parents went through World War II, and they said that that was one thing that they thought so often.
It was supposedly the war to end all wars, right? And I think, I agree. In our country today, we have it so much easier. And there's a lot of countries where we have such freedom. And there are countries where just owning a Bible or a portion of a Bible will get you thrown in jail for the rest of your life. And I can only imagine that, behold, I come quickly is something that's on their mind each and every day. But I think here in America, in many cases, I think we become very comfortable with the lives we have. And so therefore, you know, am I looking forward to Christ coming? Yes. But in the meantime, am I okay if he doesn't? Unfortunately, this side of me goes, well, yeah, we just get up and keep doing what we do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's kind of the way we are, right? What else? Anybody have another thought? And let's try and keep it focused on Christians for a moment. We've already hit the unsaved aspect, so let's try and focus on Christians. Why would a Christian not really be all that excited about Jesus coming soon?
I think there are those of us who have family members who are unsaved, and we want the Lord to come back. We want him to come quickly, but at the same time, will there be just a little bit more time for my sister, to come to know the Lord, or so-and-so?
I think that's a very good one. And in relation to about all the things on my list, that's about the only one that you can kind of give some credence to that really is like, well, that's almost a spiritual reason to say, I hope he waits, right? I know this isn't a good example, but this is the one I'm going to use. You know, the district got a little mad at Centennial Geometry, and whether or not it was rightfully so, we'll leave it at that. We had to back up our geometry EOC a week because of certain things that happened. Now, the mentality behind that is that gives you a week longer to prepare. Do you really think the extra week did anything to make the kids who weren't going to take it seriously and weren't going to try, do you think that did anything to make them try any harder? Do you think 4 extra days in a class? And actually, it turned out that it gave us 4 extra class periods. 3 of them the same day, 1 of them the other day. As much as I understand that concept, but in many cases, you know, a lot of people have made their decisions. I mean, I get it, and I agree with you. Trust me, I agree with you. But is that an excuse for God to say, well, I gotta wait? Because if that was the way, how long does Jesus have to wait then? Jesus will be waiting for all eternity, would he not? Because always somebody's gonna say, I got somebody else that I wish would get saved first. And that's a tough one. Would you agree? I think that is a tough one. Anybody got another one? Take one more if you got it, and then I'll tell you the others that are on my list that you didn't mention.
Goes along with what Leanne said, but after losing Jeremy, heaven became so much more real, in a sense, to where I really long to be with loved ones again.
Yes.
And it's, I don't know, just mentally, it's so different and so much more real than it used to be.
See, now you're getting to my second list. You're jumping the gun on me again. And that's okay. That's good. Just not there yet. You got to follow the notes. You know, we have Lot. I think Lot was one who was very comfortable with this world. You know, Abraham gave Lot the choice, which land do you want? We need to separate. And he said, well, I'm going to take that one over there next to Sodom and Gomorrah. And Lot got very comfortable in the world. Now, was Lot of this world? You read the book of Hebrews, we would say no. Hebrews tells us that he was a just man whose soul was vexed. But that doesn't change the fact that he was very comfortable in the world. And then you have Lot's wife. So let me give you another one that's on my list, and it's kind of a twofold one. Are you ready? Because it comes from 1 John. I think if we're not careful as Christians, yes, we can become too comfortable here in the world with our life and what's going on. But if we're not careful, we end up loving the world and the things that are in the world. What happened to Lot's wife? Now, did Lot's wife want to leave? No. Did Lot's daughters want to leave? Why? Because they loved where they were too much. They loved the world too much. Lot knew he had to go. And he dragged the other three with him, I think, kicking and screaming. And what happened, even though God told them don't do it, what happened to Lot's wife? She turns and looks. I read this story in my studies over the last week or two on this, that you guys know about Pompeii, right? A volcano or something like that. That, in the aftermath, as far as how they could tell bodies and stuff, filling cavities from where people had died and they had decomposed and everything, that there was one where a woman was reaching back trying to get like some jewelry. And if we're not careful, that's kind of the idea that I get when I see this or when I think about Lot's wife. I understand that the world is going to burn. I understand that the world is going to perish, but our mindset is, but I don't want it to. I want that. See, Jesus is up here. Jesus wants us reaching this way, but our gaze and our reach is back over this way. And if we're not careful, we get ourselves in the position that we love the world or that we love the things that are in this world a little bit too much. Now, as I was reading, I came across a very small illustration, and I went, okay, I got to know more of this story because there's way too much got to be behind this for just this one illustration. So I'm going to give you a history lesson tonight. Are you ready? And then I'm going to get to my second list and whatever time I have left. Does anybody know who Ernest Shackleton was? Wouldn't be shocking because he died in 1922, if I remember correct. He was an explorer from over 100 years ago. Made 3 trips to Antarctica. The third trip to Antarctica that he made, he had already lost out on being the first person to the South Pole. So he had the idea that he would be the first person to lead a team to cross the entire continent of Antarctica. So his original plan was he was going to take his boat and his group down to one side, which would have been about south of South America, trek across, and another boat on the other side would come and have supplies, and he'd meet him on the other side. But I guess Antarctica is like really, really long. So it would be like a really long trek across really cold areas. So this is what happened on his expedition. As they were sailing to Antarctica, they got caught in sea ice. Their boat was stuck in sea ice for over a year. After almost 15 months, the sea ice had finally collapsed part of the hull, and they had to get off the boat. And so literally they were on ice floes. Now, they salvaged what they could, including the boats that they would have used to row ashore. But these were not, hey, let's cross the ocean vessels. You guys know, again, we're talking 100 years ago plus. Eventually got themselves to a point where they could get on the water. I think it was something like 6 days of rowing, and they finally got to a place called Elephant Island. I'm not sure why you would call it Elephant Island, because I don't think there were elephants there. The climate's really cold. The warmest month is January, and the average high temperature is 36. The coldest month is August. The average high temperature is 22. Windiest month, September. Average wind speeds, 45. Yearly rainfall, 16 inches. I looked this up because I was interested. They ended up on this island, which they were very excited to get to shore, 27 total, okay? Totally out of any shipping lanes. They spent 9 days there. Shackleton and 5 other guys got in one of the longboats and started rowing. 800 miles, 16 days. And you understand what I'm talking about as far as what the winds were like, what the temperature was like. They're doing this in a boat that's not really meant to sail across an ocean. 16 days, 800 miles. It's amazing that they even knew where to head. Winds took them off course. They ended up on the wrong side of the island. 3 of the guys made I wrote this down, 36-hour hiking track across some mountainous terrain to get to the other side of the island, which, by the way, oh, you know what? I didn't look that one up, so I don't know that one. I don't remember how far it was, but it was, again, I want to say, oh, I did write it down. Oh, no, it was 36 hours hiking. I forget how many miles it was. Ended up there at an outpost. When some guy sees these guys walking out of the woods, they're like shocked, and they're like, well, who are you? And he said who he was. I'm Ernest Shackleton. They were all shocked because you realize they were already 16 months lost. And here this guy comes walking out of the wilderness. They were flabbergasted. They were able to go to the other side of the island, pick up the other 3 guys. 3 attempts to get back to the other 22 guys still sitting on the island, Elephant Island, waiting. 3 attempts. 800 miles. One of them got turned around pretty quickly because of problem with supplies and ice. The second one got within 100 miles, had to turn around because of ice. The third one, they finally got back. Grand total, 128 days. These 22 guys were on Elephant Island waiting. I want you to think about that. 128 days. That's 6 months? Oh, no, divide by 4, 30. 4 months, a little over 4 months? Now I want you to think about something. Had Shackleton looked at the guy he left in charge of the 22 and he said, behold, I come quickly. Over 4 months. When they came in, everybody already had everything packed up, ready to go. Why? This is what the guy who was left behind, who was in charge, every day told his guys. This is the quote I read. Lash up and sew, because the boss may come today. For 128 days, part of their routine was to pack everything up and be watching and be ready. I would tell you that if I was on this island that was that cold, I don't think I would have gotten too comfortable with my life. What did their life consist around? Well, if there was ice, they at least had drinking water. Would we agree? Probably had some kind of fish, some kind of animals that they could hunt. They had food. What does your day consist of? Keeping warm. Trying not to go crazy. By the way, not a single man died. Every single one of them made it back. 20 months total they were gone. Can you imagine what the wives would have been like when they made it back after 20 months? And I also think about this in relation to communication back then. It's not like communication was just, hey, pick up a cell phone, call somebody. I don't think they got too comfortable with their life. I don't think they loved the world and the things of this world. You know what? I think that there are some people who fishing takes a very important part of their life. Don't ask me why. I don't understand why anybody would like to fish. I do not like fish. I don't eat fish. I don't enjoy standing out there with a rod and a reel in the ocean going, why am I doing this? I have done it. I do not understand it. But there are some people who, fishing can take the place of God sometimes because, hey, better to go fishing than to go to church. I don't think that those guys were replacing God with fishing, although I'll bet they did a lot of fishing. I would like to say that they had some things left to do. But I don't know. The island was only, I think what I read was about a 200 square mile island. I don't know how much of it they explored in the course of 4 months. But I don't know that they explored a ton. I don't think that they were worried about too much left to do. You know what I think that they were worried about? He said he's going to come back. Do you wonder if over 4 months any of them gave up hope? It's been a long time, guys. He's sailing over 800 miles of water. Do you really think he made it? If he did make it, do you think he can convince somebody to spend the money to send a ship back to get us? You'd have to wonder if they didn't question, do you really think they're still alive on that island? Matter of fact, I think from my reading, one of the countries that gave him a boat was like Uruguay. Another one was Chile. That's the one that got him back. And they had a leader on there who was smart enough to realize that every day we're going to lash up and stow, and we're going to remind ourselves that the boss may come today. So the question is why should we be looking for Christ's return? And yes, it's on my list. I totally believe that there are those who have gone before that we are looking forward to see. Is there somebody on the other side of glory that you're looking forward to having a discussion with one day? For some people, it's a parent. For others, it's a child. For some, it's a spouse. Other loved ones, friends, family. Maybe there's a pastor that you used to know that just meant a lot to you. Someone from back a long time ago. I've told you, I personally plan on spending some time at story time for different people. I want to hear Moses' story time. I want to hear Joseph's story time. I want to hear a lot of story time. I think we have heaven. We got a lot of time. I want to listen to a lot of stories because I like listening to stories. And hopefully I won't fall asleep through any of them. I don't think I will up in heaven. I will here because I get tired too much. So yeah, that's on my list. What else should we be looking forward to? What else should be a reason that we should be looking for and living for Christ's return? You know what? That's number 5 on my list because I was going to save that one for last, but you bring it up. Who's the one person we should want to see more than anybody else? It's an interesting question because we've never seen Jesus face to face, have we? And yet, if you ask the average person what Jesus looks like, they usually give you something painted by one of those Renaissance painters. Although nowadays, he looks like the guy on one of those TV specials. You know what I'm saying? Like The Chosen or something like that. That's what we get in our mind. I don't know what Jesus looks like, but here's what I do know. We're going to know him when we see him. And I'll tell you what, I could wait for story time with Moses. I could wait for story time with Joseph. I'm really looking forward to story time with Jesus because I would love to hear some of these from his perspective. John makes a comment. I know we read it a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago. I don't know if we read it or not. Now I'm old. That that so many things that Jesus did were never recorded. Wouldn't it be interesting to hear some of those stories? I'm interested. I think it would be really cool up in heaven that when Jesus is telling a story, he says, and let me tell you about Lazarus. Hey, Lazarus, come here. Let me have Lazarus stand here while I'm telling you about Lazarus. You know, Mary, Martha, why don't you come up here and stand up here too? When he talks about that woman who just touched the hem of his garment, whose name we don't know, and he calls out her name, and we're all going, who's that? And he proceeds to tell us, and we all go, and that's her. Can you imagine? I mean, I'm allowed to think of heaven the way I want. If I'm wrong, it's okay. I don't think I'll be disappointed. But I have some things that I'm hoping for. After all, who doesn't like a little recognition, right? Yesterday at faculty meeting, we had the Golden Apple Rewards, which I don't know why they call them the Golden Apple Awards when we get red apples for them. All right? They do surveys to the kids for their favorite teachers for different things, and they have like 20 or something of these things. I apparently got the Inquisitor Award or something like that, because apparently I am the one who is most asked, or is most apt to ask, why, when they give me an answer to a question. Which the funny part is, wow, that is very accurate. That is true. I am probably the one person in geometry, in physics. Well, why does that happen? Why do you know that? How come? I'm always going to ask them that. But you know what? Getting a little recognition is nice, isn't it? I can imagine that. I can think that's cool. You're right. I want to see Jesus. Anybody got something else? Okay, I'll give them to you quick because I've only got 3 minutes and I might go over a minute or two. Whew, this is a good one. I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to a new body. All right, I am grateful that in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, that this is going to be changed to something incorruptible, because I'm telling you right now, this corruptible is really getting old. I hate the fact that I look in a medicine cabinet and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pills I take in the morning, plus a puff on an inhaler. At night, 1, 2, 3. I got 4 I take at night, not to mention the number of doctor visits I seem to have in a year. Anybody with me on that? I'm glad there's no pharmacy up in heaven. I'm just telling you. I'm so sick of medicine. I don't know about you. I'm sick of feeling bad. I'm looking forward to not just a new body. I'm looking forward to a new heaven and a new earth. How about you? You know what? I will be glad when I do not have to put up with this heat. I do not know what convinced me to move to South Florida. I still wonder that to this day. Well, okay, she's sitting in the back of the room. I think we all know the answer to that question. With that, I also put this down. This was actually number 1. I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to life eternal. Wouldn't you be glad to not die? I'll be honest with you. I'm really looking forward to heaven. I don't want to do what it takes to get me there right now. And it's not salvation that I'm worried about. Death is not something that I look forward to. I don't know that any of us do. I would be more than happy to be like Enoch or Elijah and say, you know what? Just call me a taxi. Give me one of those chariots of fire and let's just meet them up in the clouds. That will be really cool. You know what? A bus will be fine too, but can the wheels be on fire? Because I think it would look neat. I'll be okay with that. I'll share my seat with somebody. Why not? I think it'll be good. And by the way, we'll also throw this one out at the last minute. Don't forget, because it does say so in chapter 22, verse 12. It says, and behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according to his work shall be. You know, yesterday it was okay. It's neat when kids recognize you. You know what I'm saying? So the kids voted on that. So it makes you feel good that, hey, there are enough, in a school this big, there are enough kids who know who I am, and they nominated me for an award. I think that's cool. Yes? It's cool when you get nominated by your fellow teachers for an award. Yes? Isn't it going to be cooler still to have Jesus give you a reward? I don't know about you. I think that will be cool. And that's a reward that's going to last for all eternity. My little red apple is sitting on my shelf right next to a green one that I got a couple years ago. And they sit there. But I can tell you right now, those are going to fade away. In the grand scope of eternity, those are going to mean nothing. But the rewards that Jesus has for us are going to last forever. So as I finish everything up, I finish with what Jesus said. and I finish with what John said in response. Behold, I come quickly. And John's response, of course, is, even so come. And I think that that should be our response as we finish up this series. Any last thoughts you want to throw in? It's the last time you get to yell at me for another couple months. Our Heavenly Father, we're grateful for your love to us. We're grateful for the time we've had in studying the things that you said while you were here on the earth, Lord. But we're thankful for your death on the cross. We're thankful for rising again, and we're thankful for giving us the opportunity to have the gift of salvation, Lord. Help us to be a testimony in our community, Lord. Just bless our church. Bless our pastor. In Jesus' name, amen.